Hey there, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Making Sales Social Live, coming to you from the Social Sales Link virtual studios. I'm Bob Woods, Bryn Tillman, and Stan Robinson Jr. are joining me as well. What's up, guys?
Hello, my friend. How are you? My friends. You're both here. Both
Great,
of
thank
my
you.
friends.
Two of them at least. Doing
Very
awesome.
good. Yeah. Brent has a ton of friends, as we know. So which is a good thing. So let's get right into things here. One of the first things we hear from sales pros who are unfamiliar with LinkedIn Sales Navigator is it seems so overwhelming. That's because it is. Because of this, though, most salespeople and sales teams vastly underutilize Sales Navigator as they were never really taught to think beyond the search bar. That's why Brent and Stan are going to discuss 5 strategies that will help you turn Sales Navigator from a contact database into a deal driving engine and change overwhelming into productive. Before we get to that, we have a free ebook that details these strategies. It's going to be at socialsaleslink.com/salesnav. That's all one word, socialsaleslink.com/salesnav. And I'll get everything up in the screen so that you can see that while we go ahead and talk just a little bit about Sales Navigator before we get into the nitty gritty of the 5.
Awesome. So I'll start with a little bit of Sales Navigator. I will tell you, it is hands down, I believe, the most powerful tool that we have available to us today. Really an incredibly powerful sales tool because of its filters, which I know we're going to talk about, because of smart links, which I know we're going to talk about. But here's the thing. Imagine, all the tools. You have Zoom info that gets you lists of people, and then you have your address book that gets you the people that you know. This brings them together, right? I really am surprised when people are spending an enormous amount of money trying to find lead lists and buying lead lists. And it really is missing what I think is the most important piece, which is the relationship. And so Sales Navigator kind of does those both. But that's my thoughts. Stan, I know you are obsessed with the tool as well.
Yes, it's everyone's talking about AI these days, and of course, Sales Navigator is incorporating AI into the platform to help us do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of research. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of time, uh, trying to research prospects and clients. Sales Nav can do a lot of that for you and surface potential conversation triggers that you may have missed. So as long as you're on your homepage in Sales Navigator and checking alerts regularly, it'll help make your life a lot easier.
Love that.
Very
All
good.
right, let's
Very good.
jump into the 5 things.
Yep. So I guess first one is building, we call a living, breathing, or dynamic list that mirrors your ideal customer profile. So, of course, you can build lists of accounts and leads in Sales Navigator based on filters that you set up and leads and accounts that you've saved. Those are static. Okay, so we do suggest definitely put your top prospects, your accounts. If you work with partners, put those on lists so that you can keep track of them and search against them, etc. But SalesNav also has saved searches where you can use the same filters to search for your ICP. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the special filters like job changes and posted on LinkedIn. But those are the saved searches are dynamic. So every time a new profile meets your ideal customer profile, you will get alerts from SalesNav. Bryn, it looks like you were excited about jumping in.
I know. I'm always excited about jumping in. I love this. And I love what you're saying, Stan. I think it's magic. And, we talk a lot about what are the primary searches that you need to create that feed you opportunities. So I just did a training at a major bank. And all the bankers were I'm a relationship person. Do I really need this? Do I really? And we did actually the 7 base searches and there's 11 if you're account based, like you have accounts that are assigned to you. But the first one was base search, right? What is your perfect ICP, your ideal customer profile? The largest list that makes the most sense. Then we do job changes of those people, as you mentioned. And all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, all these people are switching jobs. That has nothing to do necessarily with the information I have. And, I'm a relationship driven person. I don't need LinkedIn or Sales Navigator. And you're like, yeah, but now you just saw relationships move jobs. Go use your relationships and this data. Another one was shared posts, right? And you can add in your first degree connections, or you can add in if you have assigned accounts to you and there's 30 accounts or 50 accounts you're following, they can be in these search filters. So LinkedIn, these are the dynamic searches, right? They are built on certain filters. And when the right people take the right action, you are alerted. And there's like a green hyperlink every day, every week that you click through with all the new people that meet that criteria. So when folks I sell based on relationships, so I don't need LinkedIn because it's my relationships. This is relationship plus data. Yeah. And when you save these searches, right? So we have first degree, second degree plus your client name will tell you who your client knows that you want to meet. There are so many combinations of searches. And when you do those, there's a little toggle that you click and it will save your search, whether it's people or accounts. And it feeds you the new changes every week. So this is a perfect example with this banker. It was a 4-week Sales Navigator program. And the first week we did these searches. By the 4th week, which we just finished with them on Friday, by the 4th week, we looked at that search, which was first degree, all these relationships of the right people and job change. And there were 17 people that they were all CFOs, 17 CFOs that he was connected to that switched jobs in that 4-week period. Wow. So those are relationships. Those are people that he knows. And now there's data he never would have known any other way. Right? And then we're going to get into the next one that I'll let Stan open up. And I want to talk about how we're using the next tip with this first one. So Stan, you want to go into number 2?
Smart links, which is a favorite. If you're using Sales Nav Advanced or Advanced Plus, you have access to smart links, which in short is a way that you can share multiple pieces of content using a single link, which helps get through email filters and that type of thing. You just send a link, they click on the link and they can see proposals, PDFs, presentations, white papers, case studies, and on, anything that you attach to that. Now, I know Bryn will talk about the analytics that are kind of the secret that come with smart links, but it is a tool that you don't want to sleep on.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep going with my banker, because in week 3, we created smart links, right, in our training. And one of the things that we did, and by the way, they're using Copilot now, which I'm so excited about. So they were able to use a crispy prompt that actually gave CFOs tips on how to look at the current bank of the new company they're working for, right? So the tips were, and it was based because Copilot was inside of their organization and already had their brand voice, right? So we then created a piece of content in 3 minutes and then maybe 10 minutes to edit, right? And that was around what CFOs in, I'm going to make up a different area because I don't have permission to share the story, in the Orlando. So 3 tips for CFOs, in new CFOs in the first 90 days, how to analyze the bank relationship to identify if it's meeting all of the company needs. And it became a checklist. So the CFO is now in a new company. They inherited a new bank. And now, what do I need to look at as a new CFO to identify if this bank is meeting what now my goals are for this new company?
Mm-hmm.
And so that went into the Smart Link. So now that Smart Link was shared with some of these CFOs. So there were 17, I think, right? So all these 17 CFOs now get, congratulations on your new role. We put together a checklist of what CFOs is, an easy checklist. So when you're analyzing the new bank you've inherited, to help you identify what's working and where the gaps are. Great. So that goes out to the 17 CFOs. 6 of them clicked through to it multiple times. And this is, by the way, they still might, right? Because it's still out there. They still could. But now we have 6 of 17 that was interested in that. Wow. That's a conversation starter. And we know who downloaded it. I think actually not that it matters, but I think we said it so they couldn't download it, that they had to keep coming back, because they did keep coming back. You can choose that. But we also saw one of the companies shared it with multiple people on his team. So there were other people inside of the finance group that got the Smart Link. And we know that because those people were looking and we were tracking those people. So I want to be clear. The Sales Navigator job change triggers us to send this piece of content inside of Smart Links. We see who's interested, and we see who else is sharing that inside of the organization. These are triggers to start deeper conversations. So I don't know where we landed yet. I don't have a conclusion to the case story, but I'll get a conclusion to this. But the follow-up is now, again, congratulations. I hope that the checklist was helpful to you. I have a few additional ideas or insights that can help you do this audit quicker. If you're interested, I'm happy to come out to your office and have a conversation with you and your team. We know there's a team because he sent it out to his team. Mm-hmm. So we'll let you know how that goes. But you can see, right, this is a banker who started off with, I don't want LinkedIn or Sales Navigator because I'm a relationship person. And now we identified a trigger data that matches to a relationship. The other side of this is there is a new CFO that will be coming into that other company to track, right? And so keep in mind on that. But this is not in lieu of relationships. Exactly. This is how do we use those relationships and data more effectively. Okay.
Yep. So
what's number 3, Stan?
Mapping. So it's interesting. You mentioned the Smart Link that was shared among a team. So you were able to see who looked at it and basically see who the team members were. But a lot of times you won't have that kind of visibility for any of a variety of reasons. And we know that particularly with complex B2B purchases, the buying committees keep getting bigger. Mm-hmm. So instead of asking your champion, who else is normally involved in this type of purchasing decision, Sales Navigator gives you the ability to do some of the lifting for them and do that research yourself. So instead of simply asking who else, you can look up the titles of the likely people who are involved in the buying committee based on your knowledge, and actually come back and say, Bob, we should talk with your other team members about this. I noticed that that Bryn Tillman is the CFO.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Include, CMO would be better, or
okay, I'll take that one.
Yeah, take that one. You think we should include her in this discussion? Which is kind of a rhetorical question because you already know who should be included. But the point being that you can come to them with a list of names instead of just saying, who do you think? Which makes their life easier and also gives you more credibility in their eyes. Bryn, any additional thoughts on that?
So I love that. I'm just going to give a quick little tip. If you use personas inside of Sales Navigator, you can build out either all the company titles that you think would be involved, or a combination of, there's a combination that I just blocked of role and oh my gosh. See, this is what happens. There's the magic combo. When you are completing any search inside of LinkedIn, when you're looking for specific people. And so it's either you put in job titles, right, or you put in this combo that LinkedIn is being really slow while I'm trying to be clever. Seniority and function. Thank you. What is, well, this, on the fly, seniority and function. So thank you. So for those of you that are listening, just act as if there was an edit in there, which we won't do. But okay, so when you create the persona, you can't do all three. You either do job titles of all the titles or seniority and function. And now when you get to that company page, all you have to do is turn on that toggle, and LinkedIn will give you a full list of all the people that meet that criteria. So if you're in a company or companies with hundreds or thousands of employees, using persona to do that mapping, that stakeholder mapping, makes all the difference in the world. Okay.
Yeah.
My quick tip was way too long.
Super. All right. Next, we already hinted at using that Sales Navigator's incorporated AI. And two of the main areas are features called Account IQ and Lead IQ, which basically means that Sales Nav uses AI to do a lot of the pre-research on accounts and individuals and try to surface information that will be helpful for you in terms of a productive sales conversation. So with accounts, for example, Account IQ can include everything from some of the biggest challenges that the company face to how they make money, a list of their competitors, things going on with company headcount. So those types of data points in a form that you can scan very quickly, and 10 minutes before a sales call, you can use Account IQ to kind of bring you up to speed on the pertinent information about the account. And then there's a similar functionality for leads. So again, Sales Navigator finds this type of information, packages up for you in a nice, easily scannable form, and delivers it to you. All you have to do is be aware that it exists and to go ahead and click on, build insights for me. Anything else that comes to mind as far as Account IQ, Lead IQ, and
I think you've really nailed what the functionality and the value of those two. I will sometimes take that content into Claude or Gemini and massage it even more. And I may sometimes ask it for competitive analysis, or although they do have some SWOT, you may have additional insights that you're looking to build. One last thing that I do is, if as an organization you have discovery questions, you can actually take that Account IQ information, that Lead IQ information, and with the right prompt, get discovery questions that lead right back to kind of that information. So I know that's like an advanced way of looking at it, but you can take all of that insight and map it to your discovery question. So instead of saying a question that might be, so what's the biggest challenge that's, da, 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 you could say, I noticed that you guys had, a recent acquisition of a small account. How is that affecting da, 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 right? And so they are at all your discovery questions through AI, along with some account IQ and lead IQ information, can really help to customize that first meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
And
deal.
then we're at number 5.
Yes, and we've touched on this in terms of buying signals. You may have the relationships, but being able to keep up with what's new in the life of your relevant contacts is virtually impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bryn mentioned the job changes. Most people don't think to notify their account executive of their job change, but Sales Navigator shows you that. So you don't have to wait for them to get back to you, in 6 months or if ever, to let you know, oh, by the way, I've changed jobs. But Sales Navigator shows you that. And so it also surfaces things like activity on LinkedIn in terms of people who have posted within the past 30 days. With accounts, there's a field where you can check for funding events in the past year or senior leadership changes in the past 3 months. But the point being, Sales Navigator is alerting you to relevant opportunities for sales conversations. Anything else that comes to mind on that?
Yeah, in leads, you can also take a look at account has buyer intent, which if you have a huge company might mean something. Smaller companies, not quite, but has buyer intent could be they're following your company. Oh, no, there is actually also follow your company page, viewed your profile. Those are not really buying signals, but they're engagement signals, right? But buyer intent could be someone else from your company is just connected with them, or they engaged on content that your company posted, or they're so there are certain things, like if they're engaging with your company, some of those buyer intent signals can help you to identify if there's already knowledge of you and interest of you. And if you do see that quite a few people are now following your company page where they weren't before, to me, that's a buyer signal, a buying signal, just slightly. Yeah. So, Bob, why don't you take us in for a landing, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we've seen, Sales Navigator works the best when you work it right. And with what we've discussed today, as well as our ebook, you're going to be well on your way to success and seeing new heights of success by using it. And speaking of the ebook, it's at socialsaleslink.com/salesnav, all one word, socialsaleslink.com/salesnav. So with that, thanks for joining us here on Making Sales Social Live. We're here live every week, Mondays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, US. So, put a block on your calendar for us. We'd love that. If you're listening to us as a recording on our podcast and you haven't subscribed already, one click of the subscribe or follow button is all you need to do. Drop us likes and comments as well. We obviously like those and would like to converse with you within those as well. Besides these LinkedIn Lives, we also interview leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and many more areas. So catch up on those episodes as well. Socialsaleslink.com/podcast is where you want to go if you want more information about who we are and what we do here at Social Sales Link. So when you are out and about, be sure you're making your sales
Social.
Woo!
excellent. Excellent. Thanks, guys. See everybody later.